right, so there are 4 types of slope. You have your positive slope, you have your negative slope, you have what's called a zero slope, and you have what's called an undefined slope. You don't need that yet. So you have positive, negative, zero, and undefined. We're going to look at positive first. So on your homework, you had a bunch of positive slopes. You had some negative slopes, but you didn't have any zero or undefined. So if something has a positive slope, as one value is increasing, the other value is also increasing. So if I were to take a look at what that looks like on a graph. As you can see on my graph, if I were to graph things like x and y, x first, y second, my x value is increasing and so is my y value, so I can plot a point. Or my x value is increasing and my y value is increasing, I can plot a point. It also works the other way. Decreasing, decreasing, right? Because 2 negatives make a what? A positive, right? So it can work that way as well. But really, as one value increases, the other value also increases. Which direction do you notice this line is kind of pointing?
Northeast.
It's not vertical.
Diagonally.
Not really diagonally. So your directions are right and left.
That's right.
It's pointing towards the right, right? Pointing towards the right.
Oh, it's like that way?
Northeast.
So if you have a positive slope, it's going to kind of point towards the right. It's going to point in that direction, right? It's always going to go that way. Because as something is increasing, so is the other thing, right? As your independent increases, your dependent variable increases. If your dependent variable is increasing, your independent variable is increasing. It works the same way. Points towards the right. So which direction do you think the negative points?
The left.
It's going to point towards the left. So we'll come back to the little definition of that. So it's going to point there towards the left, points, quote unquote. It doesn't really actually point that way, but so positive, as one increases, the other also increases. It's going to point towards the right. Negatives points towards the left. So if we wanted to come up with some kind of definition, so to speak, of what negative slope is, I always graph things x first, y second. So let's take a look at this. If I'm going, let's say I want to graph this point right here. I'm going to graph that point. So I need to go to the left first. If I'm going to the left, are my values increasing or decreasing? Decreasing. And then I'm going to go up to this point. Is my value decreasing or increasing? Increasing. So as one value decreases, the other value increases. It works the same if I go back the other way. Let's say I want to plot this point. I'm going to increase, and then I'm going to decrease. It works the same way. Okay. So could that be our definition of negative slopes? Yes. As one value increases, the other value decreases.
So if the positive was increasing, the negative would decrease?
Yep. Let's say your x is increasing, your y is decreasing. Or if your x is increasing, your y is decreasing. So it can work in reverse.
So if one's negative, others
Positive. Yep.
and one's positive, the other's negative.
Correct.
But this is only for negative?
Yep. Because positive, think two negatives make a positive. So if you're decreasing and decreasing, it's still a positive slope. So let's take a look at zero slope. Zero slope is when you just have a straight horizontal line. So that would be like if I graphed that particular line. Whoa, 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 whoa. We're at near zero slope right now. We're at zero slope right now. We are at zero slope right now. Yes, sir.
So it has zero change on the y-axis?
You have zero change on your what axis?
I forget them. It's either y or x. It's y.
Okay, so it's either y or x. So, okay, let's think about it for a second. If you have a straight horizontal line, which coordinate, which value, your x or your y value, if you have a straight horizontal line, will your x values all be the same, or will your y values all be the same? Your y values are going to always be the same. So let's say, for example, on this line, I have the points 5, 2, and 1, 2. Right? My y values are always going to stay the same. So Connor, I'm going to come back to what you said and how there's not going to be any change on the y-axis. If I wanted to find the change of y, right, slope, change of y, over the change of x, I have change in y, 2 minus 2, change of x, 5 minus 1, equals 0 over 4. And what is 0 divided by 4? 0. 0 divided by 4 is 0. So Connor is exactly correct when he said there's no change on the y-axis. There's no change. There's no change in my y values because they're all the same. Right? That creates what's called a zero slope. Straight horizontal line. So Julia, what do you think an undefined slope is?
Yeah.
Not all over the place.
It wouldn't be straight.
Straight up and down, straight vertical line. Okay? So an undefined slope is a straight vertical line. Okay, so that would be like this graph. So let me ask you this question. If on our zero slope, our y values were always the same, on a straight vertical line, what values are always the same?
X.
X values. So let's do another example. just like I did on zero slope to help explain what undefined slope really means. Let's say I have the points 2, 5, and 2, 1. Right? I have the same x value, so I know it's got to be a vertical line. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So if zero slope was no change on the y values, what do you think undefined slope is going to be?
Change on the x.
No change on your x values. So I'm going to do this math again. Change of y over the change of x. I've got 5 minus 1 and 2 minus 2. Uh-oh. Can you divide numbers by 0? You know. You know.
You know you can.
You get a big old error.
How do you solve an error?
You don't.
You run errands.
That's why it's undefined. It is undefined because you can't divide a number by 0. It's not possible. Julia is exactly correct when she said that's why it's undefined. 4 types of slope. Pretty simple, right? There's only 4. You only have to remember 4. But you can think of it as the way of, if something increases as the other increases. Is something decreasing as something increases? Is there any change in my y values? Or is there any change in my x values? Okay, think of it that way. So you're going to use these 4 types of slope, and you're going to create some slope art. Now the other class really got into it. They're really cranking out some really cool stuff.
Hunter did it.
So, no, Hunter's actually doing a really good job.
Who sits here in the last period?
I thought I was in trouble.
So, your 4 types of slope, right? Positive, negative, 0, and undefined. You're going to have to represent all types of slope in an art form. So your project,
How long do we have for the project?
I haven't even explained what the project is. How about you? Slow down, okay? All right, so the directions, you're going to draw a picture below using 5 lines with positive slopes, 5 lines with negative slope, 5 lines with 0 slope, and 5 lines with undefined slope. So you're going to have a minimum of 20 lines on here. Now, your artwork needs to be colorful, and it needs to be some kind of real picture. You can't just draw a bunch of lines and say, okay, I'm done. Okay? It needs to represent something either you really like, something you can relate to. So let me show you an example of one that I did. Guys, please stop talking. Okay. So I drew a house and a Christmas tree. Okay? I drew a house and a Christmas tree. And if, huh? I know, but I really like Christmas. So, in my picture, do I have more than just 5 lines?
You got a lot.
Yeah. And do I have more things other than just lines? Yeah, I've got circles and a star, and I have other things other than just lines. However, have I labeled at least 5 of each type?
Yes.
Yes. No. Let me ask you a question. Did I label every single line I drew?
No.
No. So do you think you need to? No. You only need to label 5 of each type. So, I have my house over here. Looks all nice and pretty. And I identified that this line right here is a positive slope. And this line right here is a negative slope. And that this line is a no slope, or a 0 slope is what I should have written. I really should have written 0 slope there. And then on my chimney I have undefined. Again, I should have put 0 slope and 0 slope. I should probably correct that.
Wait, next line. Oh, never mind. I thought that said like radial slope on the side.
Okay. I have an undefined slope, undefined slope, undefined slope, undefined slope. And then I get over here to my Christmas tree. Positive slope, negative slope, 0 slope, and then I labeled my garland Okay?
What would you label?
So I labeled 5 positives, I labeled 5 negatives, I labeled 5 zero slopes, and I labeled 5 undefined slopes. But did I label each and every line? No, you don't need to do that either because it's going to create a big mess, right? So my suggestion to you, pick something that you like, whether it be your favorite team's logo, if you want to do skis or a snowboard or something that is a real picture and not just a bunch of lines, okay? If you just turn in a bunch of lines, I'm not going to accept that. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that is in real life, but it needs to not just be a humble jumble mess. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It needs to be colored, it needs to be put together, and everything needs to be labeled. So I will be giving each of you a paper to do this on. I will be giving you, can you just stop? Can you please stop? Thank you very much. I'm going to give each of you one of these papers. You are getting one and only one. No. Miss Lyons, can I have another copy? No. Okay. This is your only copy that you get. Keep track of it. It's got the directions at the top. You'll put your name. And in this space below is where you will draw your picture. This is the only space that you get. If you want to turn it on its side, that's okay, I guess. But not on the back, not on another sheet. You can't extend this. This is all you have. Okay? So my suggestion to you would be sketch it out with a pencil first. Go back in and color it later. So what I will do here in a moment is I will come give everybody a ruler. And I will also put on each desk, except for you guys will use the stuff up here. Does that work? I will put on each desk one of those cubbies. I will put it on there. And it's got crayons, colored pencils, markers, glue sticks. It's got everything that you need. My only thing I ask of you with those cubbies, do not mix them up with another group. Okay? Don't mix them up with another group, because I had to go in and kind of reorganize them all because somebody got a hold of them and there were no crayons in any of them. So please be respectful of the stuff that's in there and don't mix it with another group. Capiche? Okay. Any final questions before I let you get started? Yes. You may, in a moment, I will allow you to get your computers out if you want to look up something, absolutely. Any other questions?
Will you find me the donut?
Sure. No. Any other questions? No.